This week, we've got an update to the Subnautica story from last week and a potential price point for Xbox's new handheld. This is the Good Game Bad Game podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer. And with me is a man who did a spit take when he heard Fantastic Foreskins are coming to Fortnite. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike! How are we doing?
Hey, I legitimately did this morning. I saw that right before we started talking.
Oh, man.
But it was one of those things where I saw the post, or I saw somebody repost the post essentially.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, there's a Fantastic Four movie coming out. Oh, it's one of those deals.
Yeah. Yeah. To anybody who's a little confused, say Fantastic Foreskins, slow and over again, and potentially it'll catch on and you'll figure it out. But yeah, maybe an opportunity to call them suits, characters. Like you can say the Fantastic Four characters are coming to Fortnite, but hey, we love a good I don't even know what to call that. A good it's not a Freudian slip, but it's something. Double entendre?
I don't even know what a single entendre is.
How you doing? What games have you been playing?
I had a pretty small catalog this week.
Oh.
But a meaningful catalog.
Oh.
I put a couple hours into Ghost of Tsushima.
Nice.
Almost quit right away. Because it spawned me just in the middle of like 20 enemies. Just beginning of game, logged into the game. Spawned me at a campfire with a bunch of bros hanging out, and we're all like, what the fuck? And we started fighting.
Very nice.
Yeah, so that was fun. Still enjoying that game.
It's a good game.
I enjoyed it so much so that I sat in my 90-degree living room playing it. I wasn't happy. The PS5 wasn't happy, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, you made it happen. Okay, so you almost died of heat stroke to play some Ghost of Tsushima.
Yep. Yeah, that's about it.
Oh, that's
I just almost died.
There you go. So no update on the Death Stranding front?
No, I haven't gotten into that yet. We'll see.
All right.
I think I'll have some time. It's hard. I did when I played Ghost of Tsushima, I turned my PS5 on with every intention of playing Death Stranding, and I was like, I should really just get further in Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
That's what happened, but
yeah, that's it's always tough. Balancing multiple games.
yeah.
And knowing that you shouldn't move away or should just like play the other game or whatever. All right, nice. Ghost of Tsushima, fantastic game. I'm thinking before Ghost of Yotai comes out, I think I'm going to do another playthrough of Tsushima, and I think I'm going to play the entire thing in the Kurosawa mode.
Okay.
That'd
be cool.
It'd be black and white and everything. Yeah. Kind of get me hyped for Yotai. I don't really have a fantastic update on my end. Um, Trying to think. Did play some more Red Dead. I'm pretty confident I'm gonna have that done by the end of the month. And let's see, ton of MLB All Star break, so a lot of new content there. And yeah, Shelby and I are getting really far in Ocarina of Time, which is exciting. I think we're gonna be done with that probably next week. And yeah, we've been pushing through Breath of Fire 2 as well. So yeah, getting ready to wrap up our SNES games and be able to put that back on the shelf and then onto the PS1 there, which will be fun. And then I think if I have the order right, after Ocarina of Time, we're jumping right to Majora's Mask. So you move through the Nintendo 64 pretty quick. And then I want to say it's the like Oracle of Seasons or Ages, then Wind Waker, but I might have the order a little off there, but just really excited to keep playing through the Zelda games. I was talking to my like one coworker. He like loves the Nintendo 64 Zelda games. Um, and he was saying how he was like, I would give anything to be able to play like one of those games again for the first time. And I was kind of like reflecting on it. I was like, it kind of, I kick myself a little bit for like having never played any of these games, but now like getting to play them all like back to back and everything like that. That's a pretty peak experience. Pretty great. So, uh, really pumped to keep moving through them.
Yeah, I do. One of the few games I think in my life that I remember playing for the first time are Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a peak experience.
Crazy. I mean, I never had a 64, so like I can't beat myself up too much over, these specifically, but I mean, they got like 3D remakes for the 3DS and like there have
So
been
we
opportunities to play them. So,
we um we didn't have Majora's Mask. I don't think we had either for the Nintendo 64. But early on in the GameCube's life cycle, they had like a three-part disc that was like a demo for Wind Waker, but then it also had Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on it.
oh,
I'm not certain about Ocarina of Time. I think we may have actually had that for Nintendo 64, but I know we didn't have Majora's Mask. So we
yeah.
played that on GameCube for the first time.
Huh. I guess I
That's
didn't
pretty cool.
realize there was a GameCube release of them.
And I don't think we owned the disc. I think maybe we got it from the Blockbuster video, but I
Sure.
think that disc's probably going for a lot these days. But I think it was a promotional thing. Like I don't think it was a I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, I'm also going to try and see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, the Ocarina of Time Master Quest
Yes, that
for
was
the
it.
GameCube. Honestly, it's a little cheaper than I would expect. You can find it on eBay now. I don't know. Those are all loose. It looks like you can find the complete in box anywhere from like 50 to 70 ish.
That's not bad.
It's not terrible for the secondhand game market. Um, Damn. Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
I forgot they made Majora's Mask for the 3DS.
Yeah, they released both of them on the like 3D remakes.
Yeah,
which I'm
and I
sure a lot of
remember Ocarina
people.
of Time was a launch game.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, playing through them is has been really cool. And we're only technically 3 games in, but um, Link's Awakening and A Link to the Past were both like really good, like really solid games. And then the jump from those to Ocarina is really insane. um, and yeah, just a lot of fun. So to anybody who hasn't played any Zelda games, or if there's a series out there that is uh, you know, talked about a ton that even mildly interests you and you just haven't been able to pull the trigger, let this be the kick in the butt to do so, because it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's it. That's it for my update. So let's talk about a news update, shall we?
Sure.
Last week, you and I talked somewhat briefly just about the awfulness of and the cruelty of the games industry, and specifically around Subnautica 2. There was a story about how Krafton, the publishers uh, of the game, decided to delay it to next year, and it basically meant that the team that was making Subnautica 2 would miss out on the revenue target that was set for the year, because the game would have been the main driver at being able to hit that. And had they hit the revenue targets, they would have gotten a $250 million payout that they were planning on splitting across the team of like roughly 100 or so people. And with the delay, basically meant that it would be impossible to hit that, and would mean that that Crafton wouldn't have to pay out the bonus. So pretty shitty move. We talked about it a little bit. We don't know all of the specifics, so it's one of those things where it's like, does the game need more time? It might, but this is kind of cut and dry, and I think it's safer to just assume that this is like nothing but greed going on, especially when the team behind the game are saying that it's ready for the early access launch and all of that for this year.
Mhm. Yeah, and when a development team goes to court, it's got to be pretty serious
Right.
because one, we kind of know that a lot of game developers are strapped for cash
Yep.
and sometimes just barely scrape by. And two, usually these publishers have pretty serious legal teams.
Yeah. So that's the big update here, is that the team is moving forward with a lawsuit.
Sorry, I didn't realize you didn't get there.
No. You're fine. Against Crafton. And my initial thought about it is that, like, to your point, like, you get developers who are strapped for cash and everything like that. This is just scummy, like, this just sucks. And I like wonder I wonder how this is like going to actually end. Like, I'm going to do my best to not let this, just kind of like fall out of, my personal zeitgeist. Like, I really want to track how this lawsuit goes, because I feel like there's a world, and like, where this is going to get settled, and Crafton won't be on the hook for the 250 million. They're going to end up paying like a much smaller amount. And there's going to be like the fees and all of that like go into it. And it's just going to end up bad kind of no matter what for the developers. And I just think that fucking sucks. And I think it's so shitty. Maybe there's a world where, it's found that, yeah, Krafton is um, held responsible and they like have to pay out the 250 million because of, the shitty move on their end. But I don't know. I just feel like that's how kind of like lawsuits will typically go. There ends up being like a settlement, and the amount that's truly owed or whatever doesn't end up actually getting paid, and we all just have to kind of move on.
I hope that at the very least, is the publisher Krafton or is that the developer?
Publishers Krafton, the development team I believe is Unknown Worlds. Yeah.
I hope at the very least Krafton has to pay $250 million in legal fees.
Right, but like that money won't go to the developer, and that's kind of like I guess what I'm trying to drive at is that like they will go and spend all of this money to fight having to spend the developers, and the developers will still end up getting shafted in the end and not get paid like what it is that they're owed. And I just hate that shit. I fucking hate that. Like a company would just much rather go to court and end up having to pay more in total because of like legal fees and shit like that, rather than just having paid out the money owed in the first place. And that's just like so scummy. I hate that that's like the system. I hate that that's like the result of like a lot of these things. It's gross. It sucks. It's stupid. It's depressing. Like,
yeah, and they won't even think twice about spending this money.
No. Yeah, just super shitty. But I do love that the developers are suing. I think we both kind of said that was like a hope last week. Because it's a pretty bad precedent to be set that like you can tie bonuses to, a game's ability to make money, drive revenue, all that stuff, right? And you can set marks at the beginning of the year and then just like at the last second push it for roughly no reason. And yeah, I think by kind of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, if you will, and saying like, okay, we'll take you to court over the money, and hopefully it goes in their favor. It can hopefully lead to this not becoming a normal occurrence, where publishers and big corporations are able to dangle the carrot in front of the developers, like, hey guys, if you work hard and crunch and all this stuff, 6-figure bonus coming your way, release this great game, and you guys will, you'll be, roughly set, be able to kind of coast for a while off of the success of all your hard work. And, you give all that time, blood, sweat, tears, and then, hey, I know we said that, but that was for this year, and we've decided to push the game back to next year, where we'll set a new target that you won't be able to hit, and you won't get that bonus. Just ugly, So,
Yeah.
And there's already enough of like that kind of bullshit, right, within the industry. Work really hard, release a great game that sells millions of copies, is a 95 on Metacritic. It's a critical success. It's a you know huge revenue driver. All this other stuff. So anyway, go find a new job. You're fired. Like, we already have that. Let's not add even more inherent evil to the mix.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, we'll have to keep an eye on it. Crafton has released some statements. There have been a couple of leaks suggesting that during a review of Subnautica 2 ahead of an early access release, that they provided an assessment that the game needed more content, all this stuff, and so there's a pretty good chance that the back and forth here ends up being pretty substantial between the two and the finger pointing and all that stuff. So it's gonna be an interesting one to follow along with, but it's like I said, definitely one that I'm very keen to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I just hope that this is kind of a cautionary tale for other studios that are promised incentives like this
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that the metrics are clearly defined.
Yeah, metrics, clauses, everything like that.
Yeah, don't leave it up to the publisher to decide whether or not you get it based off of, I don't know, vibes.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy. All right, and another fun update. We might have a potential price point for the new Xbox handheld. I sent you an article by PC Gamer, and I just kind of want to call out that they did the cheeky and the right thing from a we gotta get clicks standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
The title of the article, Leaked Pricing Suggests the ROG Xbox Ally X might be the most expensive Xbox console yet, which probably isn't the award Microsoft is aiming for. And it kind of goes on to talk about how a Spanish gaming website had listings for the Xbox Ally and the Ally X on the Asus store for $599. Is that euros?
Yeah,
Yes.
You said it was a Spanish website?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
599 euros, and then 899 for the X. And then they go ahead and do, the maths to turn that into USD. But so to just hit on that real quick. So that would be $700 for the Ally, and then it would be $1,050 for the X variant. Or $1,050 to be clear. And they do immediately say it's likely not to be a one-to-one exchange, and that was my takeaway immediately as well. The way that gaming prices and everything like that typically works is that for whatever reason the companies just will call it by the number, not the necessary value. So if it's $799 in the US, it'll just be $799 of whatever other currency, more often than not, right? Obviously, with the yen, it gets zeros added to the end of it or whatever. But that front that whatever that number is, the 799 or whatever, typically just seems to be the thing that they just copy and paste. So to me, this looks like the Ally will be $600 or $599, and the X would be $899. Again, maybe not necessarily the case, but that would be where my mind immediately goes, not to take whatever the value is in euros and then try and translate it to USD, because that almost never happens.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, this is very interesting. For the purpose of the conversation, I think we can feel free to kind of just flip flop back and forth between the assumption that it will just be the $599 price point, but we can also, take the adjusted value, which would be $700, to just kind of like go through, some of our thoughts around, what the value is there. Is that, acceptable, I guess. I don't know what the right word is, but I guess, yeah. What are your initial thoughts off of seeing these potential price points?
Um, if they didn't call it an Xbox, I'd probably have no issues with the price. If this is what it does end up being.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I mean, you think about it, paying what are we saying, 700 and for the non-X version, and then 1050 for the X version.
Sure. If you adjust, let's say, yeah,
Okay. I mean, it's cheaper than a smartphone,
yeah,
and with any luck, this isn't something that's intended to be updated every 2 or 3 years. So you know, on that basis, I find it hard to complain about the price. Um, it's not cheap. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think that it's very. I think it's going to draw a very niche audience. I don't think it's going to be like an accessible like. This isn't going to be someone's primary Xbox. Um, I don't think kids are going to be getting it for Christmas, though. I don't know anymore. Who knows? Uh, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like kind of on the flip side of this, they are branding it as an Xbox,
mm-hmm.
and you can get a Series X for I don't know how much they are now. What 550 or
Sure,
600 for the Series X?
yeah.
So is it worth the extra $500 to be able to take it on the go?
Take it on the go.
Uh,
Have additional storefronts.
but I mean, the consoles are going to be getting that too, allegedly.
Right.
I don't know. It's I think Xbox is in just such a strange place.
Yeah.
And I even with like all the news that happened last week, it feels they just feel so disjointed, and I don't really know what the point of this console is anymore. But
Yeah.
and that all changed in a week. It all changed in a week. I think if it lands at this price, I think it's gonna. I don't know. I don't know what the market is for it, to be honest with you. I know people are excited about an Xbox handheld, but I'm starting to think that like at this price range, it's only going to be like the people in the gaming industry, like the
Yeah.
reporters or the enthusiasts that you know are basically influencers.
It is definitely interesting. Um I think if it's 600, I think if it ends up being $600, right? So if it's like the 599 price point for the non-X variant, I don't know, 50 extra dollars for your Xbox to be on the go. It also has your like PC library accessible to you and all that. Like,
Yeah, but
you
it's
know,
my
I
understanding that that's more hardware comparable to like a Switch 2 or a PS4.
right, right.
So it's not like you're getting.
Or even a Steam Deck, but
Yeah.
you're, a Steam Deck you can get for 350, 400 or something like that. So you might have slightly better specs, slightly worse, I don't know. But um I don't think it's like terrible. Um yeah, I just wonder how many are actually going to move. I think if this was Xbox's attempt at like their next generation was to like go this front or this route,
Sure.
um then I think it would then I think it would move. I think it
Mhm.
would move people a bit more. There'd maybe be a little bit more excitement, but because we're just in this weird like in between point, like odds are in 2 years, 3 years, right? We're gonna have a new Xbox console that is like a tower, a PC, like that you plug
Mhm.
into your TV and all that stuff, and it's just like this little box thing. Like we're gonna have an Xbox, if you will. We're gonna get another one of those. So this isn't that. It's not just them making a switch and like that's the new, the new norm
Mhm.
for Xbox or anything like that. So yeah, it is just like in this like really weird spot. I do think there is like I do think there's like good value here for like what it is, kind of to your point where it's like, I don't necessarily think the price, over $1,000 is that's a lot, obviously.
But you're not going to get a good gaming PC for that price.
No, certainly not. And again, if you drop it and say, let's just say they match number to number and it's $899, all right, that starts to maybe move me even a bit more. But I still just am curious, like, who's clamoring for it, right? Like, in some ways, I want to believe that like this could be a solid way for somebody who is, really big in Xbox for whatever reason. This clicks with them and gets them
Mhm.
to uh, start to experiment more with PC gaming, right? And gets them to like start to like cross into their ecosystems. But you're not going to get somebody who's a PC gamer in on this. If anything, they've already got a Steam Deck and they're probably fine with it. They don't need
Right.
something like this. This isn't going to move the needle enough for them, I don't think. And so then it starts to get into the atmosphere of what you were saying, where this is going to become a thing that's like only for like the true enthusiast and the real tech nerds out there, who will kind of like salivate over any new device. And again, like I do think that there's a pretty solid system here in front of you, for what seems to be a not too terrible price point for what is effectively not a console, not a PC. It's this nice new weird hybrid that we're trying to go with within the gaming industry. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I just don't know what the value add here for, again, unless you're an Xbox enthusiast and like you said, I mean, I think you've got to not have one of these devices already.
Yeah.
Um I just don't know why you would buy this over like just the non Xbox branded Asus ROG Ally,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is cheaper than that. I'm not sure though. Um, or like I don't know. I think Lenovo's got a Steam Deck,
Competitor.
a competitor out
Yeah.
there, and the Steam Deck itself. I'm not going to bring the Switch 2 into this because I think that's two totally different demographics.
Yeah.
But
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
you
I
know,
I, I think I think I'm kind of with you where it's just like if I don't have one of these devices, but I'm looking to get one, why wouldn't I just go with the Steam Deck?
right,
I mean, people have been showing all the different ways that you can like side load just about anything onto that thing, and it works great. And so
right, and you know that the Xbox One's going to be locked down.
to some degree, right?
Right. Like, yeah, they're gonna allow Steam and
Mm-hmm.
all the other stores on there, but eh, I don't know. I don't think you're gonna be able to sideload a whole lot on top of
Yeah,
that.
you're not gonna really get free reign without having to like figure out the jailbreaking of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, these are just leaked prices, so there is potential that these don't end up actually being the right price point. I think like if it starts to come down, especially the X variant of this, starts to get a little more interesting. But otherwise, yeah, I think you're kind of in a state where if you're suddenly looking to get into the PC gaming sphere and the main appeal is the fact that like there are now handheld consoles that you can like kind of take with you. I think you'd be hard pressed to do better from like an economical standpoint than the things that are already out there. Um,
I, you know, I could see the non-X version pushing quite a few units.
it's just going to
Like
depend. Like for $600, for $700, I don't know.
yeah,
But you bring it down to 400 or 450, then sure, I think it'll move
yeah,
a decent bit. Because I think you'll fish out the people who are in the Xbox ecosystem, who like the
right. Then it's a
appeal of
good
a.
complementary device.
Yep. So again, I think it gets interesting if the prices drop. And again, these are just leaked prices, but it is something for us to kind of go off of. And I think as it stands, it's kind of in this like weird in between spot. So
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see, what the general reception is, and then how it actually starts moving. And I would have to imagine we should get legitimate price points here shortly, given that this is supposed to release this year. I think in the holiday season.
I think you're right. I think they've said that,
Um,
or it's at least been some degree of confirmed.
the initial reveal gave us the vague indication of holiday 2025. So we'll see.
Um, would you pay $600 for I'm just gonna call it a PlayStation Portable. Let me hold on. I'm gonna I'm gonna re-ask that question. Would you pay $800 for a PlayStation Portable if it were the only model? Like that's it. They make
Yeah.
one model. It's $800.
Um,
Um,
what all can I do with it?
see, that's where I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't think it would have its own games. In my head, if PlayStation's going to make a portable console, it's basically going to be able to play the PlayStation 5 library scaled down some.
Sure. So like I have access to like my library of games.
Right, but it'll play locally, like you're not streaming it.
Yep. Plays locally. Um, that entire library, my library of games, and now basically I can just play it on the go.
Yeah. Yep.
Would I pay $800 for that?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No shot.
If it had its own, if it were its own console, but it could also play those games.
So
So they make uh
they make like exclusive games that can only be
yeah,
played on it.
yeah, they make a Last of Us spin-off that can only be played on it.
Sure. Would I pay $800 for that? I want to say no, but I feel like I should be honest with myself. And if at that point there are like certain experiences that can only be played on it, I'm going to be a bit more inclined. $800 still seems way too steep, though.
Yeah.
That I don't even think that's happening. And I'm honestly sitting here trying to think that like for either instance, how much would I be willing to pay? And it's tough because at that point, like I already have my console. So I'm really just trying to like think about like what is the value of being able to go portable. And I just don't know if I would want to. The
Yeah.
the um the like unique experiences path, that becomes a bit more interesting. And I think I would just I wouldn't want to spend more than the price of a console on that. So like you're basically saying like $500, and that's a tough pill to swallow there. But at least I'm getting something different on top of then being able to also like be on the go with it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a PlayStation console, then that's another interesting conversation, like around like how much I'd be willing to pay. But again, I think I'd be locked into the idea of like I wouldn't want to spend more than the price of a console for the device itself. Um, even even just not having a console. So uh, and then that could have a bit of a slider range to it, because there's the additional features. So if it's up to $600 or $700, it's a bit easier to say like, well, I don't have a console. This will be my console, so I would be willing to pay that. But yeah, I mean, it's such a hard hypothetical when I literally have a PS5 sitting over there, and it's like I don't need to be on the go with it. It's a nice to have, but it's not a need necessarily when I already have the thing.
Fair.
I mean, I don't know what like where would you land? What do you think?
I think for me, I'm more likely to spend more money on a PlayStation portable console because that's the only console I don't have the means to play on the go. Like Switch, obviously, easy to travel with. And then I've been playing Xbox cloud gaming for so long on my phone that I've kind of gotten used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know there's some streaming capabilities for PlayStation, but I just don't think that's really a priority for them. So I think if they made something that I could play my catalog on, yeah, I'd be hard pressed to pay more than I did for my PS5, but I also like got mine used,
Sure.
well, refurbished, I guess, from PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's also like it's so hard to talk about these things because the video game industry has stayed so consistent over the years. Even when they weren't consistent, they kind of backtracked and corrected. But now, I mean, just like everything is so expensive
Mm-hmm.
that, like, in my head, I want to pay like no more than $500, $400 or $500 for a portable console. But that's just not doable anymore, and they can't make them for that much.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing there was like an interesting conversation around this, around not even just gaming specifically, but like luxury items in general, or tech items, I'll say. So you think about like the cost of consoles and stuff like that. Like for the most part, they've stayed relatively the same. Slight increases here and there, but like nothing too egregious, I'll say. You think about like the cost of like TVs, monitors, stuff like that. Like honestly, you can buy a stupid high tech TV that I think will do just about everything except, you know, blow you, and you can get it for like under $1,000. Um, I think that's the problem is that like a lot of our like everyday necessities have gone up, right? So you can almost too easily make the decision to buy a $500 TV or a $500 console, um, but it's the cost of everything else that like makes you feel pinched. So even
Hmm.
though even though the cost of these things are relatively obtainable, or just as obtainable basically as ever, in terms of within their bubble, um, everything else kind of provides that layer of difficulty, if that makes any sense. So I can sit here and say that like, oh, $700 for a console, I would do that, but that's trying to just think like just within like the gaming mindset. Um, the fact that that's the price of however many lunches, or however many dinners. then starts to like make it more difficult to consider.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is the right road to go down necessarily, but I think these portable consoles are kind of setting a dangerous precedent too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, if Xbox sees that people are buying these $1,000 portable consoles that are essentially less than a Series X, are they going to be like, oh, people are paying for the hardware, not necessarily the function of traveling with your game console? So
Yep.
we should jack up the price of our next Xbox, like uh cabinet top Xbox to over $1,000. I think that's kind of inherently bad.
Yep.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think that's a risk.
No, it definitely is. And I mean, it's what we're seeing with the price of games too, right? Like the the waters are being tested, like
Hmm.
with increases there. Um it's going to be interesting to see how companies and everybody involved decides to try and jump and really push these things. And it'll be interesting to see how the public reacts. Cuz to your point, what other takeaway is Xbox supposed to have if they put out a, egregiously expensive item but then people still end up buying it,
Hmm.
you know? In some ways it's like, well, you can't really fault them.
Nope.
Uh cuz like why wouldn't they just keep going? Keep pushing the boundaries, keep pushing the limits. I don't want that obviously, but that's just kind of like that's just kind of where we're at, right? With this stuff.
Right.
Companies are only going to reverse course if they are negatively impacted by the decisions that they make. If they are positively rewarded for increasing the price of things, then they have no other takeaway other than, okay, I guess we'll just keep increasing the price of things until, you know, we get bit. So I'm with you that these handhelds and you know, I get it. Like these things are definitely powerful. You know, I was looking at the Lenovo Legion Go.
Hmm.
The specs. I'm not super savvy when it comes to this stuff, so I might be talking out my ass a little bit, but the specs all seem pretty good, and this thing will like be on the go with you and everything like that, and it's all bundled together for a big old $600.
Yeah.
The price of
No,
a
those
console.
the Steam variant of that um has gotten very good reviews.
Yeah.
And that's the
Um,
thing, like, with that, you can play your Xbox catalog, you can play your Steam catalog, and we just don't really know how this dynamic with PlayStation games on PC are going to work.
mhm.
Like, we don't know if they're going to be able to be played on the Xbox variant of the ROG Ally, but you can play it on the other variants.
Right.
I'll be interested to see. I'm not sold. I don't expect I'm going to buy one of these. Um, at this point in my life, like we have the Switch to travel with,
Yep.
and that's plenty for us. If PlayStation were to make a portable console, I don't know if I'd be able to help myself. I think for me, it would have to have its own library, though.
Imagine if PlayStation made their own console and also allowed you to like bring along your other like your PC, like your Steam catalog and everything like that. Like imagine if PlayStation did what effectively Xbox is doing, or attempting here. But with the added benefit of like having your PlayStation library, I feel like that would
Right.
just be that. Yeah, that would be too easy. Of a way to rip $600+ from me.
Hmm.
Because I'm somebody who doesn't play, PC games, but there are plenty of like, there's always instances of a game being in early access or something like that, and the only way you can play it, and sometimes they just don't even make the jump to console. Um,
Right.
and so the only way to do it is PC, and um, that would be the perfect way for me to kind of like be able to dip my toe and transition into some more PC gaming, I think.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like I'll just keep dreaming of building a PC one of these days, one of these days, one of these days.
Right. Yeah, it's always been my thing is, I don't need to build a PC game for like AAA games. But yeah, the early access or, indie games that either are going to take a while to come to console or not going to come to console at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's all I need. And maybe one of these handhelds would be perfect for that. I mean, it very well could be, but
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't need to spend $1,000 for it.
Right. Yeah. Well, we will just have to wait and see whenever we get official pricing. But yeah, this is definitely an interesting position. We'll see. We'll see where they end up.
Yep.
Anything else from your end on this?
No.
All right. Well then, that will do it for this week's episode. So as always, thank you all so much for listening. If you could do us a favor and leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to the podcast, that'd be great. You can go over to the YouTube channel. Let us know your thoughts on the Subnautica 2 lawsuit. Let us know your thoughts on the initial potential pricing, for the Xbox handheld. What's the price point outside of free that this would need to be for you to want to pick it up? Interested to see where some people land there. And yeah, that'll do it. Otherwise, if you could share the podcast with a friend, that would be greatly appreciated. And we will talk to you next week.